Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, good morning. I'd like to do a quick sound test if you can hear me. Just give me some verification in the question or chat box. All right, thank you, Jeff, for the verification. Well, it's been a crazy 24 to 48 hours across central North Carolina with places seeing their first snow of the season. Today is your extreme Monday routine weekly briefing. We've seen a little bit of everything over the last 48 hours. We saw temperatures overnight in the 70s, just like 48 hours ago. We saw one bout of heavy rain around New Year's, and then we saw a little bit of wind over the last 12 to 18 hours. Heavy rain, flooding, severe weather, and now we're starting to see the changeover across northern portions of the forecast area. So a lot going on here, and the bulk of this presentation will be focusing on the next basically 12 hours. So currently here are all the watches and warnings and advisories that we have in effect. And that's actually decreased over the last 12 hours. As you see in the top left, we still have an aerial flood warning in effect. And while the heavy rain has long departed and exited the area, we had really just such a high amount of rain, especially around that rush hour commute, and centered right over the triangle area. We just had an extreme runoff. And we've had a lot of reports of water being in places that a lot of people just have never seen. So what we ended up doing, we extended or we issued an aerial flood warning to handle any type of runoff and where water is just refusing to basically move out. We have that out to around 3 o'clock this afternoon. We will revisit that and call some of our emergency counties or emergency managers and 911 centers and see how those waters are doing. And we'll try to expire that early if we can. As you can see in the top right, the 4 counties across our northern Piedmont are in a winter weather advisory. And we've had as much as 1.5 to 2 inches of snow being reported on the ground. And that's mostly been in the Forsyth area, Triad area. And we are starting to actually see that snow in those portions of the area starting to lighten up. So things should be starting to improve out there. And then lastly, we still have a wind advisory in effect. And to be honest with you, we've seen our strongest winds. We saw as strong as 50 miles per hour earlier overnight. And now we're basically looking at winds about 25 to 30 to 35. But we've definitely seen the strongest winds. They've actually already subsided. What I'm showing now is showing our latest radar. And this is the precip type depiction. And you can see that as you start to get into anything other than the greens, you're looking at some type of frozen precipitation. And what you will find, especially as you get over the triangle, where you just started seeing the changeover, is that your main precipitation type is going to be driven by what we call coming down. That's when you'll see it change over as all snow. And as you get into the lighter precip amounts, that's where you may see it mixed with rain and sleet at times. Again, and that's especially along that leading edge of where you start seeing the blues and the pinks and the magentas there. I'm going to share another graphic with you. We're going to look at the latest observational satellite data. And if you look, across western North Carolina, you're seeing the skies and the clouds. As soon as the precipitation moves out, you're starting to see some clear skies, and that is an indication of a very strong system. All of these are indications of very strong systems. So you're going to be pinching yourself, but again, probably within an hour of precipitation ending, and most likely less, you're going to start seeing blue skies for those who live in well, everywhere, but especially for up across the Northwest Piedmont, where it's been snowing pretty hard over the last 2 to 3 hours. Now what I want to show you a depiction, and this is a forecast, but this forecast is doing a pretty good job on, you know, the timing of the transition to the snow as we step through the afternoon. So here we are around 10 a.m. this morning, and as we get into 11 a.m., which is where we are now, so between 11 a.m. to noon, we're starting to see that changeover push into, or getting close to moving into, the eastern part of our CWA, including Rocky Mount and Roanoke Rapids. And right around 1 o'clock, we're starting to see the back edge moving out of the triad. And then as we continue into 2 to 3 o'clock, you can see it quickly starting to push off to the northeast, to the point where even the triangles is in the clear. And then as we get in at 4 o'clock, we have some very light precipitation. So you can see, you know, this is basically for we're looking at the next 4 or 5 hours of this what we call this wraparound snow band pivoting eastward across the area for anyone who's going to be doing their afternoon and evening commute after 4 o'clock. It's really going to be very rapidly improving conditions. All right, I already went through the timing and the details. This is the latest update on the expected snowfall totals. And it's basically still in the same range we were expecting before. Where we had the advisory is where we're looking at 1 to 2 inches of snow. And you know, as you get basically south of there, you know, between the very warm temperatures we've had over the last week, that's going to be a limiting factor. And then just the fact that as this is starting to fall through basically, you know, what we call the peak diurnal hours, that's going to also be a limiting factor. But again, this is the first snow that we've seen this season. And we do have reports that this, even with the wet, even with the warm conditions, that there is a decent amount of slush accumulation on roads. So people need to be, anyone traveling in those northern counties need to be aware of that, plan for extra time, and if all possible, try to delay those travel plans and travel roads once that band moves out of there. And again, that looks to be, for the triad, you're looking right after around lunchtime. So by 1 o'clock, we'd see travel conditions and road conditions really improving really quickly. Here's the 36-hour rainfall totals we've seen. Again, this was like 2 different systems, but you can see that the heavy area of rain that fell basically in the heart of central North Carolina, basically from Southern Pines all the way up into Lewisburg. You see a pretty large swath of 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. And because of that, you know, we did have numerous reports of flooding and road closures and roads being impassable. And again, that's why the aerial flood warning was extended for that area. Because of all that heavy rain, that's going to cause some travel conditions that people need to be aware of late tonight and especially tomorrow morning. On the left is our forecast for low temperatures tonight. And I showed you how quickly that clearing, the clearing skies were starting to push into western North Carolina, where we're going to have clear skies by this evening. The other thing is the winds are going to really drop off. So we're expecting a very chilly night with everyone getting well below freezing. And we're expecting that we could see some areas of ice on roadways, even removed from the far northern counties where they're seeing the snow right now, due to the 1 to 3 inches or 2 to 4 inches of rain that we've seen. So people need to be aware of that there is the potential for black ice tomorrow morning when they're traveling. We're going to be having some type of headline to make everyone aware of that travel and that black ice threat. So be on the lookout for that later this afternoon. Again, with all of the heavy rain that we saw, even though we were in the midst of a drought, it's really, in fact, this rainfall is a drought buster. So there's your silver lining to this weather we've had over the last 48 hours. But we do have several of our rivers going into minor flooding. If you look on this chart right here in the middle, currently the only river we have in a river flood warning is Norwood. And that has basically went into flood stage earlier this morning, and I'll show you the hydrograph here in a minute. It's going to quickly come down, and they should be below flood stage later this afternoon. But then if you look over here to the right, these are the rivers that are forecast to go into flooding, and we will be issuing river flood warnings for those here in the next few hours. But as you can see, here, the BYNN7, that's Bynum, so that's Hall River along Bynum. That's going to barely reach flood stage. But more importantly, portions of the Neuse, and that's the Clayton Smithfield. You see those are going about 2 feet above flood stage. But that's still going to be minor flooding. Here's the hydrographs. So in the top left, we're looking at Rocky River near Norwood. You see how quickly it went up this morning, and it's going to fall really fast. And it looks like it's going to fall below flood stage sometime later this evening and tonight. And then when you look at Clayton and you look at Smithfield, we're going to be looking at them going into flood stage again sometime this evening and tonight. Okay, then for the rest of the week, we're going to have below normal temperatures. That's going to linger into tomorrow, which is Tuesday. We're looking at highs in the 40s, but then we moderate by Wednesday back to near normal, so we'll be back in the 50s. And then we're looking at our next cold front's going to approach us on Thursday, and it's going to move through late Thursday night. And that will bring us our next chance of precipitation. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next couple of slides. And then that'll move through, and then we're dry and again cooler with below normal temperatures Friday and Saturday. And then our next chance of rain is going to come late Sunday ahead of a next system. And that looks to be a wetter system, so that will likely bring us possibly a ½ inch to 1 inch. So again, all of this, things got wet pretty quickly around here. All that's going to really help with drought conditions. So I expect for the next drought update, you're going to see things really improve. And the good thing for Sunday is it's going to be an all liquid precip or all rain precip. As I mentioned, our system coming at us late Thursday. There's still a lot of uncertainty here, but what I'm showing you here is the winter weather outlook. And what this is the probability of having liquid equivalent of 1/4 of an inch that could go to snow or sleet. And if you look at this graphic, and I'm circling here, you see Greensboro, and you got Forsyth just to the northwest of there. That green line, which is a 10 to 30% probability, it's not that far away. So what I want to say is that we're closely looking at this, but this system has the potential to bring us a brief changeover to some snow before all of it moves out. And that would be late Thursday night, Friday morning. If you try to compare that to this system that we're currently seeing going through the area right now, this one's much weaker, and we're really expecting impacts to be very, very minor. So we'll continue to watch that. Again, here's your precipitation forecast for the next several days. Here's our Thursday, Friday event. And I'll say right now, this graphic here is calling anywhere from about 1/10 of an inch across southeast North Carolina to as much as 1/4 to 1/2 inch. That amount of precip, it could, as we get closer to the event, we could see that become a lot less because there's a potential for this system to be a much drier system than what the models are showing now. The better rain chances look to be with the Sunday, late Sunday system. When we look at the severe weather outlook, we did have a severe threat earlier this morning that has long shifted offshore. So for the rest of the period, we are not expecting any severe storms. Same thing with the excessive rainfall. As I showed this graphic earlier, this was previously, and this was as of December 28th. This map should be updated by this Thursday, and that would be January 6th. I expect we'll see a lot of improvements in this map by the time this updates out, especially across the central portions, actually across the Piedmont areas. So good news on the drought front. The 8 to 14 day outlook, it was just a matter of time before winter, reared its head, and it looks like on the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, you're starting to see that. So it looks like we have a higher chance of seeing below normal temperatures for the week 2 forecasts. And looking in terms of the 8 to 14, it looks like it could be on a drier trend. So we'll continue to watch that. But we're certainly going to have our precip chances for the next 5 days. All right, for a weather summary, precipitation ending as snow through the afternoon across the northern Piedmont, with the best accumulations being along and north of the I-84 corridor. I'm sorry, I-85. And that looks like to be about the 1 to 2 inches. Wouldn't be surprised, especially near Roxborough, if we happen to see some slightly higher amounts. Next chance of precipitation is let me go back. The slushy roads and adverse travel will continue this afternoon across that I-85 corridor. So be on the lookout for that. And then everywhere tonight and tomorrow morning, there will be the threat for some icy patches and black ice, because whatever residual moisture is on the road and actually continue to run off onto the road, that will freeze because we're expecting temperatures to be well into the 20s and even some upper teens. So everybody needs to be aware of that. The next chance of rain will come at us late Thursday. There is a very small potential that we could see that precip end as some snow across the far northern northwest Piedmont. That includes the Triad. Right now, we expect any accumulations and impacts to be very minimal. And finally, after a dry Friday and Saturday, we'll see another chance of rain on Sunday, but it will be warmer, and rain will be moving in the late afternoon and evening. So we're not expecting anything other than rain with that system on Sunday. All right, that is it for the briefing. Now is the time, if we have any questions, to take any questions.